All right, so welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Achieve Anything Now, session number 3. Glad to see you all here this evening, and we're just going to jump right in with two of my favorite quotes. So this is, of course, what we said on the first night. This is my teaser for the very last day of the advanced course. It's the answer to this riddle, which is the way that you achieve anything is to create it. And you can't give what you don't have, and you can't receive what you haven't given. So if you want something new, if you want to receive something, how do you receive what you haven't given, but you can't give what you don't have? So that's the big riddle. That's my big teaser here. So the way that a person gets what they want really through in life, according to this course and my philosophy, 100%, of course, is emotional release. So we're going to start with a little Q&A from last week. So some of the questions that I got from the emails, of course, were, what the heck is this love and healing energy stuff anyway? When you close your eyes and you're doing the audios to release anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions, you say just close your eyes and imagine that infinite source of love, healing energy above the top of your head. What is that? Well, all I can say is what that is visually, it's literally the white, yellow light that's there inside your head that looks like, lightning in a cloud, or it could be little spots like like when you see stars. What I really think the love healing energy is really just the quantum energy of the universe, so to speak. So when you bring that in, it's there to heal you. It's there to allow you to become one with that energy of the universe. And that's what it is in my world. I don't really know what it is, because when you close your eyes and you focus on it, I can't tell you what it is other than that's what it is. So, but I can tell you that it's there. So what are we supposed to experience when the love healing energy comes down to fill us up? Well, that's really an interesting question, because remember that everything that we do in meditation can be broken down into something that's going to be a visual experience, an auditory experience, or a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, a feeling experience. So when you feel that love healing energy coming down to fill you up, it literally could just be a visual representation of it, like filling you up, just like water. When you have a pitcher of water and it fills up a cup, it could be a visual experience of just watching it fill you up inside. It could be something auditorily, like a sound or a resonance or a tone or a hum, or it could be anything there if you're an auditory person. Or it could be something kinesthetic, which is just a feeling. It could be a warm feeling. It could be a comfortable feeling. It could be a loving feeling. It could be a healing feeling. It can be whatever you want it to be, a tingling. However your body, your unconscious mind brings that up for you to experience is absolutely perfect for you. Another question is, what do you mean by the quantum energy in the audio recording? It's basically quantum energy is that energy of the universe that is, they say, in Star Wars, that binds us, holds us together. The quantum energy is what's there, but you can't see. You can call it the Tao, you can call it God, you can call it whatever holds all the molecules together. Quantum energy is the energy that holds everything in the universe together. And there are aspects of it, masculine, feminine, yin, yang, but the energy of the universe is ever expanding. So last question is, what was the difference between the blue-black spot of truth and the dark spots that we let go of? The blue-black energy or spot of truth is something that is a manifestation or a creation or a deviation or a derivation of the white, yellow light. As you get into exploring and having greater levels of awareness, that yellow-white light could move into white. It could move into being red, black, smoky green. Purple, or the deep blue-black spot of truth, comes up right at 6.8 cycles per second. And it's basically the moment where there are no dichotomies. So everything is totally a moment of peace, stillness, oneness, conscious, unconscious mind together, us together, fade into the universal quantum energy of the universe. So we're one with it and it's one with us. So you'll know it by a real sense of true just peace and being, or you can't even put it in a word. It just is, the I am, whatever you want to call it. But the dark spots that we let go of, we're going to get into that today. The dark spots that we let go of, a lot of times they'll have a heavy feeling, or it'll be like, my experiences of it are like a tar, or just like a heavy, sticky, gooey, bubblegum, heavy bubblegum, warm bubblegum, sticky type of spot. And it has a very different feeling associated to it. Like I said, there's usually some form of heaviness or stickiness or usually a weight. That's how I usually experience it attached to it. So that's how you can tell the difference. So quick review here. Remember that your unconscious mind is the guide for you on the journey. Our success equation is that you can have everything that you want in life if you have enough good stuff: motivation, concentration, and commitment, minus the 2 forms of resistance. And we talked about that last time. Resistance of things from the past, and then resistance that comes up when we let emotions go and now, oh, it's too good to be true, right? Or I can't believe it. Shouldn't be this easy. That's a form of resistance moving forward. So we have 2 forms of resistance. And as we let these go, we naturally have more energy as a result without having to do anything by willpower. And remember that resistance comes in the form of 7 things in the purpose of this course. There are emotions of anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions, and then, of course, resentment, which is we practice forgiveness. So that's the 6th resistance. And then the 7th one are dichotomies, which we cover both of those really in depth in the advanced course. So that's what resistance is. So relaxation equals release. So the first session of the Achieve Anything Now program was really all about learning to do the 3 meditations of breathing, tapping the third eye and focusing on the light, working the inner child meditation. And the second, last week, we focused on, with this level of rapport that comes through meditation, right? Dropping our brain waves in cycles per second. 6.8 cycles per second is where the blue-black spot comes out. Then we wanted to start to build this rapport with our inner child or the unconscious mind so that we can start to have it give us single events just to start to clear and release up. So we just say, hey, give us some anger, give us some sadness, give us some fear, give us some guilt, give us a limiting decision, and we'll just choose to let it go. Remember, the conscious mind tells the unconscious mind, hey, let it go. And the conscious mind is supposed to bring it back up, so the conscious mind can't tell it to let it go. And the reason that we do that is because as we release negative emotions more and more and more, with David Hawkins' work, right, we raise our levels of consciousness from guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, to courage, neutrality, willingness, fear, acceptance, love, and enlightenment up at the top. So as we release negative emotions, we attract different levels of thoughts to us as we move higher and higher, releasing these negative emotions. We also attract what happens and what we get at these higher and higher levels, because you attract, like attracts like. So the higher our energy, the higher our thoughts. Money is energy. The higher, Mother Teresa never asked for a dime, but she could have been one of the richest people in the world if she just charged for her services. Of course, she didn't, but you could still say that she was one of the absolute richest women in the world because of why? She could pick up the phone and ask to talk to any world leader, and they would grant her an audience, right? Or most any leader. So who resonated with her energy levels. Why? Just because that's where she was. So with this, as we release, we raise our levels of consciousness, which allows us to have more and more of what we want in life. And that's how we emerge victorious. So with that quick review, let's get into real quick the 4 primary emotions. We talked about this last week. So let's do a 2-minute review. Remember that anger, and how do you recognize anger, is by remembering that anger is an emotional indicator that someone has hurt or wronged you. So it's a protection mechanism, and it's a stimulant. We want to reach out and take things into our own control, so to speak. Fear is also a stimulant, and fear or anxiety is a picture or a feeling of something the way you don't want it to be. Right? Something happening in the past that's unresolved that we don't want it to happen in our future. So we're picturing it in the future. Or it's something we've totally made up in the future that causes us anxiety, like walking out the front door and seeing a snake. Now take that and push it back out of your mind. But remember that the anger and the fear are stimulants. So if you start to feel stimulated, nervous, start to shake, do things like that. We went through all the different aspects of anger and fear. But that's how you can recognize those. So we want to start to build awareness. Sadness and guilt have similarities as well. Sadness is a loss, a void, or an empty feeling inside, and it's a depressant. That's how we can recognize it, because we want to go melancholy, lethargic. It's a heaviness. It weighs us down. It's a depressant. We become depressed. Same with guilt. Guilt or regret means that we violated a belief or a standard we hold to be true, right? And as a result of that, we're depressed because, oh, I should have known that. Oh, why didn't I do that? Right? It's a pulling yourself down. It's a guilt. So these are the relative energy levels, right? Anger and fear. No wonder they're a stimulant, because we want to lash out. They're more activity driven, and sadness and fear are depressants, and they hold us down. It's a very low energy, so it drags us down. Limiting decisions don't have usually any physical releases associated with them, because they're just a belief. So, but let's talk a little bit about why we specifically always want to release anger, sadness, fear, and guilt. And if we're going to do it, we do it in this order. So I know a lot of folks here maybe know some people, or let me use a really neutral example. Let's use this as an example. Let's just say that you had your favorite turtle and your turtle died. You know, I had a turtle when I was a little kid. We named him Clem. And I guess that's why my unconscious mind gave me that. I guess there's something for me to clear up with Clem still. I don't know. I'll have to release that later. But the bottom line is, when somebody experiences something like death, usually anger happens first. Let's walk through this. Anger happens first because, in this case, my turtle died and I feel wronged, or someone's wronged me, or I feel hurt as a result of that. And so I want to lash out. I get mad. I get angry. So that's why we release anger first. What helps us go from anger to sadness is acceptance. See, anger is a protection mechanism. So it's like we build this bubble around us. And if anybody comes even close to bursting our bubble, we're going to lash out, because we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to accept. I didn't want to accept that my great, cute little turtle died. So whenever someone says, hey, mom, dad say, hey, your turtle died, what do you do when you get teased about that? You get angry because you're lashing out, because you don't want to accept the fact that it hurts because the turtle died. So, but once I accept that my turtle has died, then all of a sudden sadness kicks in, because think about it. I have assumptions and expectations about the future. All the anniversaries, birthday parties I was going to hold for my little turtle when he turned 2 and 3 and 4, and celebrating Christmas with my turtle, and all these great things with my turtle. All of those unconscious things, expectations that I had for my future with my turtle and I, they're gone. And that leaves a loss, a void, an emptiness in my future. And that basically creates holes. I had a nice solid block of cheese filled in with all the great stuff I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden my turtle died and it turned into Swiss cheese. There's all these empty holes in places where it used to be filled. And now all these happy things I was going to do with my turtle, they're gone, right? All the Pinewood Derby races or whatever that is I was going to do with him, the turtle races, everything we're going to go do together, it's gone. So I get depressed because I have these gaps. And that's what sadness is. It's a loss, a void, or a hollow, empty feeling inside, because we lose that. As we start to fill those in, right, we have to create something compelling in our future to fill that Swiss cheese in, right? All those gaps, all those air holes, those bubbles, we have to create something to fill that in. If we let it be filled in by something that's a picture or feeling of something the way we don't want it to be, that's where fear and anxiety kick in, right? All of a sudden, if I start picturing a new turtle or a new gerbil or something like that, but now I fear it's going to go away too, and I create those holes in my cheese before they're really there. If I don't create those compelling, wonderful, exciting new experiences with my new turtle or my new gerbil and fill in all those gaps, I'm going to experience fear and anxiety. So we have to be really careful with what we let into our mind. As I say, you got to stand guard at the doorway of your mind, because what you let in is what you become. So we have to be careful of fear creeping in or anxiety creeping in, which is a fear of the future. And then once we work through that and we start to go, okay, if we've started to let it go, but we haven't changed our belief systems, if we keep looking back over our shoulder because we haven't let it all go, or maybe we haven't learned something. Remember the learnings? What is there to learn from this? The learning of which will allow us to let go of this easily and effortlessly so we can be more whole and healed and complete. Part of the infinite source of love, healing energy is to let go of guilt and regret. Find these new beliefs. Find this to be worth something, right? When somebody dies, you want it to be worth something. That's why every time when a family member dies or something, you do a reevaluation of your life so you can let go of all those old belief systems that don't serve you anymore and start to look forward to, I'm going to do this from now on. I'm going to do this from here on out. That fills in the holes in the cheese. And now you have something to look forward to that's empowering, and the guilt goes away, the fear goes away. And now you go and you make the world happen and be an even better place. So that's why we release these in this order. And especially, like I said last time, when you release anger, you have to release sadness so that you don't go into that depression. So as you do your emotional clearing and your release work, I want you to remember, I was 45 years old before I started this program. So when I started where we were at the beginning of the course last week, and I was here, or 4 years ago, all of a sudden, when I started to build that rapport with my unconscious mind, doing the inner child meditation and everything, oh man, did I have an accelerated curve, and my unconscious mind was waiting, and it gave me just about anything and everything. I'm going to move this. Oops. It gave me just about anything and everything, so you can see what this is. It gave me about anything and everything that I could all at once. It gave me this huge volume of stuff to clear up. And so people who don't clear stuff up, low performers. People who start to clear this stuff up and give it time and keep clearing stuff up, they become better performers. And then over time, to really become a high performer, you'll just start clearing up and making greater and greater refinements. So one of the participants today before we got on the call said, oh man, I'm having all this stuff come up all the time now. Good. Your unconscious mind has been waiting 20, 30, 40 years for you to build connection with it again and come back in and start to let this stuff go. So it's going to give you 40 years of gestalts, right? 40 years of these significant emotional things it's been repressing. So you just want to clear as much and as often as you possibly can. And then there'll come a peak where you kind of get tired of it and you're like, oh gosh, I've been doing this forever. I'm just really tired of clearing this stuff up again. I don't really feel like it. Push through that. And then you'll find that you just start doing it a little bit less and a little bit less. But when you do, it'll make bigger and bigger differences, and you'll just keep making smaller and smaller refinements as you go. So that's what you can expect to clear when you release. So how is your unconscious mind going to present things to you to clear up? It's going to present things to you as you did. Hopefully everybody did the meditations last week, the anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions. This is what you'll experience. And it could be any of these. I've experienced all of this. People can tend to be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, seeing things, hearing things, and feeling things. So when you clear things up and you say, hey, let's clear up this anger. Hey, give me something to clear up sadness from my past. Something may come up for you as a picture, a movie, or a symbol, right? Something like that in your mind that's actually something that's just visual. Sometimes this black stuff, sticky stuff that's why I picked this picture. To me, that's what some of my black stuff looks like when I see it visually. So this picture could just as easily be over here. But if it comes up as a picture, it could be a still frame, it could be a movie, something that moves. It could just be a symbol like water or fire. It could be a symbol like this. It could be whatever. But whatever your unconscious mind brings up, remember, it's just the unconscious mind's way of putting the unresolved emotion into some symbolic form, so that it can just have a way of bringing it back up to express it to the conscious mind, so the conscious mind can let it go. I slowed down on purpose there so you could catch that. Whatever the representation is, the unconscious mind, it's not real, it's not reality, it's just its representation of bringing that unresolved emotion back up so that the conscious mind can do what it needs to do, which is tell the unconscious mind, hey, just let it go. Thanks for bringing it up. I don't care how you brought it up, but just let it go. And then it does. You could also pull something up auditory. Now, this also counts for limiting decisions. So anytime, remember, limiting decisions are whether you hear the voices inside your head or you see maybe this, the limiting decisions, or you talk to yourself inside your head about what they are. Limiting decisions are auditory things to clear up, are things like I can't, I'm not, I don't know. If this happens, then I'll do this. I need to, I should, I could, I ought to, I have to. He is, she is, that, they are, that's not me. All this is limitation, and most of it is built in scarcity. So all the auditory limiting decisions can just be cleared up by saying, hey, just clear up the first time I ever thought I don't, or the first time I ever expressed I'm not, or the first time I said I can't, right? So just go back and start to clear that up as well. Say, hey, let's clear up some negative stuff. When was the first time I can't came into my vocabulary? Give me that visual, auditory, or kinesthetic representation of that, and breathe through it and let it go. And then last but not least are kinesthetic. And kinesthetic are the feelings that we feel. And emotions can have all sorts of feelings. They can be hot, cold, a weight. A lot of times when you release sadness or guilt, you might feel a lightness. The heaviness falls away, right? So kinesthetic is also, like I said, your black spots, the sticky spots, heavy. Anything at all that's a kinesthetic feeling. It could be a spinning, a whirling, a visual picture of something spinning around and around and around like this in your stomach is anxiety, right? A spinning the opposite direction is excitement up in your chest. So you can experience all sorts of feelings or emotions. They may show up in a color like red or blue or green, whatever as well, yellow. But you can experience any of this. So the purpose of this to remember, I'm going to say it one more time, is it doesn't matter how your, oops, nice typo, sorry, I'll have to fix that. It doesn't matter how your unconscious mind presents things to you. There's zero judgment on saying, is this real? Is it not real? We don't care about that. All we care about is the unconscious mind is going to bring it up in some representation, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, with the express outcome of just letting it go, presenting it to your unconscious or your conscious mind, so your conscious mind can say, great, let it go. So then in the end, we can just be more whole and healed and complete. All right? So you'll know when it's released, right? Or, I'm sorry, when the visual, auditory, kinesthetic memory is presented by the unconscious mind, all you need to do is ask or tell your unconscious mind and your child to let this release happen now. Breathe until you clear your head of the thoughts. Breathe until you clear your diaphragm of your abdomen of any negative feelings that might there. And then just remember to say thank you for letting it go, right? That's literally just how simple it is. You just, and I give these suggestions in the audios, right? You just say, hey, great, bring up something that makes me feel angry. Great. Then you just say, great, perfect. Let's release this anger now. And I'll be aware of it consciously or unconsciously. Continue to breathe until your head is clear of any thoughts. Breathe until you clear your diaphragm and your abdomen of any negative feelings that might be there. And that's when your conscious and your unconscious mind collapse together, and it'll be gone. And then you'll just be present. You'll experience the light, the blue-black spot, whatever it is. And you'll know because you'll have that kinesthetic feeling, or it'll just be gone, whatever. And then you just trust that it's gone because you told the unconscious mind to let it go. And so then you just make sure and always tell your unconscious mind, thank you. Because remember, it's 7 years old. It wants to know when it does a good job. So just say thank you for letting it go. It's just that simple. So sometimes the external mind wants to say, okay, but how do I really know? I mean, how do I really know? How am I convinced that that change really happened? Well, it's really simple. You'll notice two different distinct things. You'll notice, I'm going to call them coincidences, but there are no coincidences. I'm going to call them lucky things happen to you, but there are no lucky things. But guess what? Instead of the old place where that old emotion always just ate you up inside, close, but not quite this time, right? That's a coincidence or a lucky thing. You'll start to experience little things like you'll like I did this. I know it's silly, but I just say, hey, I'm gonna have a front row space. I pull in, I have a front row space. It's not a coincidence. It's not a lucky thing. I cleared up any of my limiting decisions. I'm not have a front row space. That's not there for me. It's too busy. There's never a front row space there on Saturday. I get a front row parking space everywhere I go because I put it out there. I clear my mind of anything, and it just happens. So you won't get eaten by the shark anymore by a lot of those negative things. So there'll be like this little gap, or what I'll call over here a little hiccup in time, where you're like, hey, I didn't get angry there. Or, hey, if for those of you who have kids, it'll be like you turn around and you're like, man, when did those pants turn into high waters, right? They've been growing all the time, but you just don't see it. You turn around and there's like this gap, this space now in time. The second way is you'll be in a place of flow more often. I don't know how to say it other than that, but life just gets easier. It's kind of where you get focused on an action, but then you kind of just engage and things merge together, this action and awareness. You'll have greater sense of calm, greater sense of control. You'll have a loss of self-consciousness. And what I mean by that is after a while, you'll be able just to kind of step back and be the observer of life, right? And nothing really affects you because that's out there, but you're calm inside. Or you may have a transformation of time, like I just talked about, which is you'll have like a hiccup, like, oh, I should have been angry there, but I wasn't. Or, oh, I used to think that, but I don't now. So these are some ways that your conscious mind will know that the emotional release is happening. So this is the piece that we were going to talk about last time that I skipped into today. I'm going to add a next release. So let's go back one place here. So remember, the first session was all about just building rapport with the unconscious mind by starting to meditate, by breathe, tap, focus on the light. Next, we stack into that breathe in session 2, breathe, tap, focus on the light. And that start to build rapport with the unconscious mind and just say, hey, just give me something from any one of these 5 things and let's just clear it up, right? So we did that. Now we're going to do, and we went here about how you'll know when it's cleared. We're going to add to these couple steps and do what I call the 5-step clearing process, all right? So the 5-step clearing process is to basically do the 2 or 3 steps we just said before. So if you're doing a morning routine, we're going to go into the morning meditation routine in one of the sessions here. Basically, that might be in the advanced course, but it might be next week. I don't remember. But what we want to do is we want to start to work more and more with the unconscious mind, because you can't trust a thought that just comes into your conscious mind when you're left brain conscious in the beta or even sometimes the alpha range of cycles per second, because that's what they call the ego, right? The ego only lives in pleasure and pain. So how can you trust what the mind is going to give you? The only place where you can really trust what the mind is giving you is when the conscious and the unconscious mind are connected with no anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decision. The infinite source of love, healing energy fills you up, which means you become one inside, conscious, unconscious mind connect into one, and then we become one with the universe. Then you're connected with God, higher source, whatever you want to call it, the quantum energy of the universe. And that's where you can start to trust what comes to you. So the 5-step clearing process, some people say, well, what's the next step in my business? How do I know what's right? You hear people say that sometimes, or say, well, I just trust my gut. I just know because I trust my gut. They're having a mini little experience of this, but they don't know how they're doing it. But this explains how they do it. So the 5-step clearing process, the first thing that you do is we want to clear the conscious mind, right? The nurturing parent or the critical parent. We want to clear the conscious mind of anything that's in it, any limiting decisions, any negative self-talk. We want to clear that up, right? The second thing that we want to do, so that clears the first floor, if you remember that. The second thing that we want to do is release the negative emotions from your emotional center. Your emotional center in martial arts or anything is your solar plexus, right? That's where sometimes you visualize the black spots, negative thoughts. And so we want to clear any negative emotions, anger, sadness, fear, guilt. We clear the mind of limiting decisions, negative self-talk. Then we clear negative emotions from your abdomen. And then we bring those two together by blending in, the infinite source of love, healing energy coming in, letting it fill up any of those dark spots that you release, right? And so that brings those together. The next thing that we want to do is the third outcome. Once these two are done, we want to breathe your goal into existence. So once you clear your head and your heart, the blue black spot should show up. And then what we want to do is when you hear people talk about their goals and do creative visualization, I need to visualize my goals every day. This is basically what they're doing. But the visualization, the best place for it is only after we clear the head and the abdomen of any negativity. Then we just breathe. And you imagine your goal into the light in your head, whether it's a blue, black spot, yellow light, white light, whatever it is. That's where you visualize your goal. And then this is the fifth step, which is you ask. Remember, the conscious mind asks for directions of what it wants. You ask, for guidance from the higher self or the unconscious mind, because it becomes the middleman to the higher self. You just say, what's the clear next step? What's the next step forward? What's one thing I can do today to move me towards my goal? It doesn't matter how you ask the question. You just say, hey, what's the next step? What's one thing I can do right now? Now that I've cleared my head, I've cleared my abdomen, I've given you the truest picture of what it is I really want to have. What's the next step to move towards it? That's what you can trust. That's what you get in that moment, is that aha moment that you get when you're like, hey, what's the solution to that problem? And all of a sudden it shows up. This is basically what you've done. You've said, hey, I cleared my mind. I cleared my abdomen of all the negative stuff. Then I said, hey, I asked the question, which is, I really want to solve this problem. I really want to find the solution to that. Then you say, great. What's the answer? What's the solution? Or what's the next step? And that's when you get it. So when you do this, you may get just what we said back here. Instead of the symbol, picture, number, whatever that is giving you to release, it may give you the symbol, picture, number, whatever it is to actually move forward. So it might be something like email, or call Bob Smith, or call Susie, or newsletter, or whatever it gives you as a picture, symbol, metaphor, color, word, whatever. The key is to open up your eyes when you get it, come back in the room, hold on to that relaxed state, and just engage. Go to your computer, turn on the email, do whatever seems right. Stay in this place of flow when you come out of your meditation, and just do what seems right, and just go ahead and follow it, and just do it with trust, safety, all those great things. And if something doesn't or isn't given to you, perfect. All you do is, when you have that moment of aha in the rest of the day, guess what? Just do that. I've done that before. I do my meditation in the morning, put my goal out there, say what's a clear next step. Sometimes I get something like email, and I'll go over, check my email, write an email, a couple people I think about, whatever. By the end of the day, I've had it happen before where somebody else calls me. Sometimes those people have called me back and engaged in coaching again. If you don't get it, I've done silly stuff like go to the post office by my house. There's a McDonald's next door. So I'll get I believe in tithing. So I'm just like, hey, go, you haven't tithed this month, go drop a 20. It's a spontaneous thing. Go drop a 20 in the Ronald McDonald house. So I go into McDonald's, I drop my 20 in. By the time I get home, there's a lead or somebody calling on my phone saying, hey, I want to start with coaching again, or hey, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in that. That actually happens very, very frequently and very regularly with me. So you want to start to follow those hunches and those intuitions. And it could be something else, like this is another one. I said, ran outside to go get my daughter from tennis one day, and my brain just said, hey, take 2 waters. Usually I just grab one for my daughter. So I take 2. So I just said, okay, I just grabbed 2. Guess what happened? I got to tennis, take 2 waters. I'm talking myself out. Why the heck did I grab 2 waters? Blah, 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 blah. All the negative self-talk kicks in, right? But I get to tennis. I give my daughter her water, and I have the other one in my hand. And she goes, oh, by the way, my friend Abby doesn't have one. Oh, guess who just happens to have a second water, right? If I would have talked myself out of it, I would have had one. And she would have said, hey, Abby needs some water. I was like, sorry, we don't have any more. So you just want to start to trust in those little things or those little coincidences. So we're going to talk real quick here about goals, because that's the next step, is we clear up anger, sadness, fear, guilt. right? I want to keep stacking this in so you get it here real quick. We've cleared up, right? First we just meditate, then we go in and we say, great, just give us something to clear up. Now we're saying, great, give us something to move towards our goal, right? So let's talk a little bit about goals real quick. Remember that E equals MC squared minus 2R? Well, money is just energy, and goals are just energy. And there's only 3 energies in the world. There's energy of decomposition, potential energy, which means everything's, has potential, but it hasn't lined up right. Nothing's there to engage it yet. And then there's the energy of growth and creation. This is the only place where money is, growth and creation. Potential energy is good sometimes because you can just rest and recharge there, but you have to get back to growth and creation. So for those of you who are curious about a purpose in life or what's the next step in my business, the key is to ask yourself, what am I working to grow, build, or create? That's it. If you can stay emotionally engaged with no anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decision, they say do what you love and the money will follow. Well, yes and no. If you're focusing on building and growing something that you're 100% emotionally invested in to be the best that you can possibly be at it, and you've released all of your anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions more and more and more and more and more, chances are you'll make a lot of money. It might take you 20 years to get there, but in the end, you'll be making a lot of money at it. So, because there's a process. Remember, we have to go through the levels. So when it comes to money, if you say, hey, I want you to start thinking about a goal that you can work with for the rest of this program, and if you do the advanced program, because we want to start putting the emotional clearing work into a specific goal, right? So even if you say, hey, James, what's your money goal? I have a money goal. I want to make $10,000. I want to make $50,000. I want to make $100,000 this year. What you're really asking is, what am I going to build and create that's going to generate $100,000 worth of energy? And what do I need to let go of, anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and limitation-wise, so I can channel and flow and be that level of energy to attract that money? So there are going to be 2 things that you're going to do. Money goals are what we call lag measures. And lag measures are things that you can't measure until after you've hit the completion date. So a lag measure is something like a money goal, which, this is just a SMART goal, right? I've successfully generated over $200,000 between January 1st and December 31st, 2017. That's a lag goal. There's a lag between now and when I can actually see if I did it, or you could actually see if you did it. But it doesn't tell you what to do today. To figure out what we need to do today is, while we keep this lag measure out there, that's like the front side on the shotgun, we need to stay focused on building the rear side of the shotgun, which is a lead measure. And a lead measure is, you take this lag measure and you break it down to, what can I do in a small, realizable, action-oriented goal or chunk that I can do every day, or once a month, or once a week. So this is actually my goal this year. Actually, it's higher than this, but I just put this down here because I changed it. But this is really simple. My lag measure is, hey, I've successfully generated over $200,000 between January 1st, December 31st, 2017. But my lead measure is, I've successfully enrolled 10 new paying clients between November 1st and then November 31st, 2016, right? That's just a goal. I just put that in here. But it would be my lead measure this month is, I've successfully enrolled 5 new paying clients between April 1st and April 30th, 2017, right? If I do that, this will ensure that I do this. So I have to figure out, how am I going to generate, what am I going to build and create in my business so that I can, attract or enroll 5 new paying clients. What that really means is you might say, well, James, that's a lag measure because you can't do that till the end of the month. Great. I'll tell you what my lead measure is per day. Each and every single day, I focus on doing one of the following 3 things: set up an introductory coaching session, sign a coaching contract, or follow up with one prospect or an old past client. That's it. So if I do those 3 things every day, that'll generate me my 5 new clients a month, which will then help ensure that I make this goal. So we want to make sure, as you're thinking goals, that you're going to have a lag measure and you're going to have a lead measure. And in the end, all money is energy. And you need to ask yourself, what am I going to build and create that will generate this amount of money that I want to make? because it's all about energy. Because in the end, I'm going to say, great, remember all these lead measures from the 3 things I do every day to the 3 things a month? Guess what I have to get rid of? I have to clear all the anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and limiting decisions that are preventing me from knowing that I can do those 3 things every day. I have to clear up all the anger, sadness, fear, guilt, and limiting decisions that comes from me focusing on, I've successfully enrolled 5 new paying clients. Because guess what? I have to be able to write that on day number 30, even if I only have 3, and absolutely know with 100% certainty that I could still attract 2 before the end of the day. So if you think, yeah, it's really easy to believe that at the beginning of the month, but as I keep writing it more and more and more towards the end of the month, and I'm not in congruency with myself or I haven't hit the goal, guess what? There's going to be a whole lot of stuff that starts to come up to clear: anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decision-wise. So that's the purpose of that. So what do you want to build or dream in your health, finances, business, career, whatever it is, that you can start to apply these clearing tools to specifically? For the majority of all the recordings, I just use business and money. But if you don't like that, put in health for business and money if it's a health goal. Put in a career goal if it's career. If it's generating some income, you got to say, great, you got to figure out what am I going to do, what I'm going to build and create that's going to allow me to experience that level of income. So in order to do that, we've created, and I put in here, the keys to an achievable outcome. This is going to be part of your homework for this week to next week. There's going to be an actual Word document that has all these questions in it. And it's here to help you build that compelling visual representation of your goal, so that you can experience the anger, you can become aware of the anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decisions that come up in relationship to moving towards it. So that then you can, instead of just saying, hey, unconscious mind, give me something general to clear up, you're going to say, great, now I'm paying attention to you and I'm going to clear this up directly in relationship to this goal. So I do this once a week. I write out the keys to an achievable outcome one time over the weekend in relationship to my big picture goal there. And then I just tell my brain, hey, clear up everything around this goal: anger, sadness, fear, guilt, limiting decision-wise. I just go for a walk, listen to all 5 of those in a row. It's specifically in relationship to my goal. So I'm going to go through these kind of quick because they're in the interest of time and in the interest of this is all on the sheet. But the first question on keys to an achievable outcome is, what do you want? So we want to put that into a specific SMART goal, which is basically just like this example back here. I have successfully generated over $200,000 between January 1st and December 31st, 2017. That's a SMART goal. It's very left brain oriented. It's simple and specific, measurable and meaningful, as if now attainable. It's relevant, right? And realistic. So, I can't say I want to be on the Celtics or the Bulls Eastern Championship or whatever it is basketball team. That's not very realistic and relevant to my life right now. It has to be time bound, which means it can't be something like, I'm going to balance my budget next month. It has to be specific. So it has to have a date or some time component there. The next question is, where are you now, right? What's your current situation? This is where we start to get into the awareness of the feelings. What do you feel about what's happening now? What do you see, hear, feel, think, and know about where you are now in relationship to your goal? As you write this out, we're going to start to ask your unconscious mind to pull up, hey, where are you? You might pull up some stuff from yesterday to clear up, or some stuff from tomorrow. I'm scared of what happens. I might have to lose my friends. I might have to do this. I might have to do that. So this is where we start to pull up the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic things that we may end up clearing up. What will you see, hear, feel, think, and know when you have it? Imagine that you have it now. Imagine having it in the future. What will be happening differently if you start to have a hard time answering these questions? That's your resistance coming up. All these questions are aligned to bring clarity to defining the way you want it to be, which lets go of fear and anxiety, remember, because that's the way you want it to be in your future. And it also is meant to start building some awareness into what are you fearing and procrastinating. Sometimes people don't have a convincer, right? So we want to ask ourselves, hey, what's the very last specific thing that needs to happen in order for you to know that you've achieved your goal? You have to have a picture of you crossing the finish line. Remember, your unconscious mind is a 7-year-old. It takes you literally. So it needs to know what the finish line is. And then what will this goal do for you or allow you to do differently, right? Might allow you to travel more. Well, that's going to bring uncertainty. Maybe that'll bring fear. So we got to take a look at that. So maybe you'll need to get out of all these unfriendly people and get to a place of more friendly people. What does that mean? You can't take significance from being the only happy person in this world of unhappy people around you, right? Maybe you have to start playing chess with people better than you. I don't know. But these are all questions to help bring up those negative feelings. When, where, whom, how, and with whom do you want this, right? So we take a look at that as well. It's meant to bring clarity and to bring that up. And then, of course, we have these fun questions here. I'm angry I haven't achieved this goal yet because, my boss. Well, you got to clear up whenever you have around your boss. I'm sad I haven't achieved this yet because that's an expectation that wasn't met in the future. Got to let that go. Forgive yourself for it, right? I haven't achieved this because I'm afraid that, I'll feel guilty. Maybe I'll lose my mom and dad's love and connection if I'm really more successful than them. I don't know what that is. That's one of the old ones I cleared up. I'll feel guilty. Most people feel guilt and regret for two reasons. One is because they didn't do what they thought they needed to do today, or because they haven't done enough of what they wanted to do that day, right? So a lot of people think if I have a lot of money, I'd feel so guilty because society says it's a wrong thing or this or that or whatever, or is it okay for me to show up in my Audi or my BMW when the rest of my family, has Yugos and Hondas and old beat up cars that are 15 years old? Is it okay for me to show up in my, $1,000 suit, right? When the rest of my family is showing up in their Birkenstocks and shorts, right? So we have guilt, regret. I haven't achieved this yet because this is where all the blame, limiting decisions out. I can't, I shouldn't, I don't know how to, or I would never do that. I couldn't, I'm not, I don't know. So these are all great questions. Oh, I do have CEO morning routine today. Great. I got to jump forward with that too. Maybe we'll skip that for next time. But the question is here, this keys to an achievable outcome. All these questions are on there. It's a one page. So write it in a journal. Just write out your goal, right? What you're looking for. Put a little time, put a little energy, a little effort into all these questions as you go. And that'll really help. So let's see here. Looking forward real quick. Let me see if I want to do this for next time. All right, I think we can still work through this here real quick. I know I'm giving you a lot. One of the things that I would encourage you to start to do if you don't do it is a morning CEO routine. So one of the big things that shifted my entire focus with, I just did a 1 hour webinar on this last couple weeks ago. So if you want, I have a longer recording of this that I'll give you access to. But my life turned around, my business turned around when I actually started to be CEO of my life. And so I said, well, what the heck do CEOs do? Basically, I would encourage you to start to use these clearing tools and work them into a system or a process for you every single day. I encourage you to have a short version, a long version. But basically, every CEO from Oprah to Bruce Lee, I did some research on Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tim Ferriss, a lot of famous, very famous, successful people. Basically, what they do is they do some aspect of this. Chances are you do pieces of this, but I'd ask you to figure out what works for you. So incorporate these 5 things. This will be my coaching challenge to you between now and next time. Incorporate these 5 things into your day every day. The first one is get up and do some form of physical movement. Now notice I'm not saying exercise, I'm not saying do cardio, I'm not saying do weights, but what I'm saying is breathe and get some oxygen into your system so you can wake up your brain and your body, right? So do something to do some breathing, whether it's walk around the block, walk up and down the stairs 2 or 3 times, just sit and do some deep breathing, perfect. Get some oxygen in your body. And eat a healthy breakfast. Eat something healthy for breakfast that's not going to counterbalance your oxygen. So what I mean by that is preferably something low carbohydrate. It doesn't do any good to get some oxygen, start to wake up, have that little cup of coffee, get that little pinch of caffeine so you really start waking up, and then you go have 2 bagels, right? And put yourself in a carb coma, right? From an insulin dump. So have these things be congruent. Eat a little bit of a healthy breakfast of something low carb, preferably. Get some physical movement so you get some oxygen in, and then stimulate your brain, right? You fed your brain some oxygen, you fed your body something good. Feed your brain something good, a new thought, a new tool, a new concept, something in your industry, something that's a nice, something for you to read, your Bible, thought of the day, quote of the day, Wall Street Journal. I don't care what it is. Do watch a YouTube video to get you pumped up with something you can learn from it, a new powering belief, whatever. But read or do something that you can carry into the rest of the day to feed your mind something good. Start off with something good. The fourth thing is to journal your lead measure, right? Or do a daily review. This is where it can be all sorts of stuff. You can write your goal, review your goal. You can do like Julia Cameron's morning pages to get all the junk out of your head, right? To clear up later, of course. Do your daily review, just walk through your day, do a visualization like we talked about with the 4-step clearing process, whatever that is. But find a way to actually kind of walk through or put some focus to what you want to experience for that day. Basically, you're programming your mind for that. And then guess what number 5 is? Number 5 is giving you some time and some space to actually do what this whole course is about, which is once you give yourself a little oxygen, a little bit of breakfast, you read something nice, review your goals for the day, come in and just do a simple meditation. Listen to Let Go of Anger, Sadness, Fear, Guilt, or Limiting Decisions. Do the little 4-5-part clearing process just to say, hey, clear my head, clear my heart, get a little energized, get focused, visualize my goal, right, from here, and then just say, hey, what's one thing I can do today to move towards my goal? Write that down on a note card, and off you go for the day, right? Or just meditate, get nice and calm and relaxed, and then just jump and move forward from there. It's really easy to start to work these clearing tools into your day in a very simple, focused way. So if you do this every single day, have a short version and a long version. My short version, I can do some version of all this in 5 minutes. My ideal version is I get up at 5:30, stumble down to my basement, meditate for 5 to 10 minutes just to clear my head, focus on my day. My buddy shows up. We exercise for 30 to 45 minutes or sometimes an hour, come upstairs, eat my nice little low-carb breakfast, sit at my table, have my cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever, for anywhere up to an hour to 2 hours. It just depends on the weekends, not during the work week. Focus on reviewing my quick goal in iCloud for the day or iCalendar for the day. Focus on what I want to do, journal my little lag measure, right? I've successfully enrolled 5 new paying clients between April 1st, April 30th, 2017. Jump in my office before I turn on my computer, sit in my big chair, say, what do I want to release, and do at least a little 8-minute meditation on something. And then I jump up and I engage in my day, and the day takes over from there. And I, as I say, engage in my chaos. If you start to incorporate this in some way, shape, or form that works for you, you'll start leading your life instead of life leading you. You'll have more of those pieces of flow, more of those moments of inspiration, and more stuff will come. So basically, the 5-step process covers the 4 reasons to meditate, right? And the 4 reasons to meditate are to relax and meditate on the light, just to become centered, have no mind, and energize your mind, body, and spirit. That's combining the conscious and the unconscious mind, right? Then we release all the negative emotions, imagine your goal and offer it into the light, and then ask for guidance or that clear next step and take action, right? For